They say some places remember. They cling to the echoes of what once was, twisting them into something else, something hungry. And deep within the Blackwood Forest, where the ancient trees claw at the sky like skeletal fingers, there's a silence that screams louder than any nightmare, a silence that promises to swallow you whole, leaving behind only whispers and a chilling, indelible mark. My name is Elias Thorne, and I've spent my life chasing shadows. Not the fleeting kind that dance in the periphery, but the deep, consuming darkness that lurks in forgotten corners of the world. I'm a folklorist, a collector of forgotten tales, and a seeker of the uncanny. My latest obsession led me to the remote village of Oakhaven, nestled at the edge of the infamous Blackwood Forest. The locals, their faces etched with generations of fear, spoke of the woods in hushed tones, warning of strange disappearances, unsettling sounds, and a pervasive sense of dread that seeped from the ancient trees. The legend of the Whispering Woods wasn't unique. Every isolated community has its tales of malevolent spirits or ancient curses, but Oakhaven's story had a particular resonance. They spoke of a primordial entity, a voice in the veins of the earth, that awoke every few decades, drawing people into the forest with irresistible, seductive whispers. Once drawn in, they were never seen again. Their homes would be found empty, their lives erased as if they had never existed. The only trace left behind was the faint, lingering scent of damp earth and something indescribably metallic, like old blood. I, of course, dismissed it as superstition, a colorful local myth to keep children from wandering too far. But the fear in their eyes was palpable, and the sheer number of documented disappearances over centuries was unsettling. I came to Oakhaven armed with recording equipment, thermal cameras, and a healthy dose of academic skepticism, determined to debunk the myth and document the psychological impact of such pervasive folklore. My first few days in the Blackwood were uneventful, just dense, ancient woodland. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp soil, and the silence was profound, broken only by the rustle of leaves and the occasional call of a bird. I set up camp deep within the forest, near a clearing the villagers called the Cradle, a place they vehemently warned me against. They said it was where the whispers were strongest, where the forest truly listened. It was on the third night that I heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible sound, like wind chimes made of bone, carried on the breeze. It wasn't a natural sound. It was too melodic, too deliberate. I grabbed my recorder, my heart beginning to pound with a mixture of excitement and unease. The sound grew, coalescing into something more distinct. Whispers, not human whispers, but a chorus of ethereal voices, speaking in a language I couldn't comprehend. Yet somehow, I felt I understood their intent. It was an invitation, a promise of forgotten knowledge, of ultimate peace. The whispers were intoxicating. They seeped into my mind, bypassing my rational defenses, stirring a deep, primal longing I hadn't known I possessed. I felt an irresistible urge to follow them, to step deeper into the darkness, to uncover the secrets they promised. My academic skepticism was crumbling, replaced by a terrifying curiosity. I found myself walking, almost floating, through the dense undergrowth, the whispers guiding me like a siren's song. The trees seemed to press in closer, their branches intertwining above, blocking out the moonlight, plunging me into an oppressive gloom. I remember the cold, a bone-deep chill that had nothing to do with the night air, felt ancient, predatory. And then the scent, that metallic, earthy smell the villagers described, now overwhelmingly potent. It was the smell of a tomb, of something vast and terrible that had lain dormant for millennia, now stirring. The whispers intensified, no longer a chorus, but individual voices, each one calling my name, weaving a tapestry of false comfort and insidious promises. I stumbled into the clearing, the cradle. It wasn't a clearing at all, but a vast, circular depression in the earth, overgrown with gnarled, ancient roots that pulsed faintly with a sickly, phosphorescent glow. In the center, a single, impossibly old tree stood, its trunk wider than a small house, its branches reaching into the sky like grasping talons. and from its base, the whispers emanated, a tangible force that vibrated through the very ground beneath my feet. But it wasn't just whispers anymore. There were images, flashes of faces, distorted and screaming, then serene and smiling. Visions of forgotten rituals, of sacrifices made to the earth. I saw myself walking into the roots, becoming one with the glowing network, my consciousness dissolving into the ancient, hungry entity. The promises turned to threats, the peace to an eternal, agonizing absorption. The voice in the veins of the earth wasn't offering knowledge. It was offering oblivion, a grotesque communion with its endless hunger. Sudden, sharp pain. I had bitten my tongue hard. The metallic taste of my own blood, stark and real, momentarily cut through the hypnotic haze. The spell broke, just for a second. Enough to see the true horror. The roots weren't just glowing, they were breathing, and within their gnarled forms, I could discern faint, skeletal outlines, countless forms absorbed, their essences feeding the ancient tree. The metallic scent was blood. Indeed, not old blood, but fresh, continuously flowing. Terror, pure and unadulterated, flooded my senses. I turned and ran, blindly crashing through the undergrowth, the whispers now a cacophony of enraged, frustrated screams behind me. The forest itself seemed to fight my escape, branches whipping at my face, roots tripping my feet. I didn't stop until I burst out of the tree line, gasping, collapsing onto the muddy road leading back to Oakhaven, the first rays of dawn painting the sky in hues of false hope. I never went back to the Blackwood Forest. My equipment, my notes, my academic skepticism, all left behind, swallowed by the whispering woods. The villagers of Oakhaven looked at me differently when I returned, their fear now mixed with a knowing pity. They saw the mark, the subtle shift in my eyes, the way I flinched at the sound of the wind. I survived, but a part of me was left behind, a part that still hears the whispers in the dead of night, calling my name, promising oblivion. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, I can still smell it, the damp earth, and the metallic tang of old blood. The voice in the veins of the earth is always listening, and it remembers, always.